SADC came up with a regional appeal to begin with, so that we to help the affected member states in terms of responding to the drought. Of course, this was after each individual state declared national disaster, that they were not able to cope on their own and needed external assistance. So we've got a regional appeal out there where, as SADC, as a collective, we are requesting donor assistance, and anyone who wants to assist each of these affected countries. We are at present talking about probably 5.5 billion that is required, $1 billion that is required to respond to the drought. And now, as part of the regional appeal, there are also issues in there each member state has put in terms of building resilience. So there are programs for to plant better, to increase irrigation, to capacitate farmers and stakeholders, so that such future drought or emergencies do not have similar impact to this one.
The drought has also taught us quite a lot, really. I think number one is that we need to look at the early warning systems. And not only early warning, but also early action. Because yes, there was warning that there was going to be the El Niño effects, but the action simply did not follow those warnings. So we're working with member states that in future, we need to make sure that we have early action as well. Now, that's also taken us a little bit back to also look at the capacities of, say, food storage in the different countries. Do we have enough grain storage? The last work that we did, we realized that a lot of African countries have got about 2 or 3 months of food stored. So if you have an impact such as the one that we have, which is going to last at least a year, it means at some point you're going to diminish your reserves and you're going to start importing. Now, we're also looking at it in terms of, if we're going to import this food, can we see how to leverage on the continental free trade area? Because if Africa is importing from another African country, then we know that we are able to contain the situation based on an African context. But if it gets to a point where we start importing food off the continent, then now we realize that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done around that. So all that kind of work is being done just to make sure that even if we suffer a drought or a flood in one continent or one part of the continent, can we see how we can work with different regions to be able to minimize the impact of that disaster.
A lot of people have heard that it's going to be La Nina, but the information that is still lacking is the extent at which it's going to be La Nina. Yes, we're going to have heavy rains, flooding and things like that, but to what extent? When is it going to set in and how? So the issue of meteorological forecast is still lagging behind. So it's clear. There's a certainty above 80% that is La Nina. But the impacts of it are yet to be gazetted. And you find, in terms of people's response, your response is dependent on whether you actually have the resources to enact whatever response that needs to be done. We can talk about, no, farmers get ready, it's going to be this, but are they equipped, one, with the knowledge, the how-to, and financial resources to then do after the fact? You're asking a farmer who did not harvest anything and therefore did not gain anything season 1 to do something in season 2. Now, this is where we need now a collaborative and concerted effort from all stakeholders involved to help improve information flow between the different sectors and to provide options relevant for the particular context. What options are there for resource poor farmers? What options are there for those that are a bit better endowed than the most? As Summit, we've already started trying to package our information to then provide alternatives to the current prevailing production systems. If there's going to be a lot of water, how do we then make sure that production is not going to be affected by flooding? In areas that normally don't receive as much water, are we looking at changing varieties? Are we looking at changing production systems so that they can at least harvest as much as they can? And then there could be concerted efforts to distribute food within communities that have been affected. Because there is water in excess, what efforts are happening to actually collect all this water for future use?